Warren Buffett famously said, "I insist on a lot of time being spent almost every day to just sit and think." He estimates he spends 80% of his working day reading and thinking. 80%. If you walked into his office on a random Tuesday afternoon, you would see a man in a chair, staring at a wall, holding a glass of cherry Coke. To a hustle bro on TikTok, this looks like the definition of doing nothing. To Berkshire Hathaway shareholders, it's the most profitable activity in the history of capitalism. There's actual neuroscience behind this. Research from the University of Southern California, led by Dr. Mary Helen Imordino-Young, identified what's called the default mode network, a part of your brain that only activates when you stop consciously focusing on tasks. This network is responsible for pattern recognition, long-term planning, and creative insight. When you're constantly busy, you literally turn this network off. You become better at executing other people's ideas and worse at generating your own. The poor man's version of work is doing. The rich man's version of work is deciding. A single decision Bezos made to reinvest Amazon profits instead of paying dividends created more wealth than 1,000 80-hour weeks ever could. Schedule deliberate idleness into your week. 2 hours, no phone, no input, just you and a notebook. Watch what your brain does when you finally let it think. Steve Jobs once said, "I'm actually as proud of the things we haven't done as the things we have done. Innovation is saying no to 1,000 things." When he returned to Apple in 1997, the company was selling 40 different products. He killed 36 of them in a single afternoon. To the executives watching, it looked reckless, lazy, even arrogant. Within 4 years, Apple was the most valuable company on earth. Here's the counterintuitive part. The average ambitious person says yes to everything because they think opportunity is scarce. Billionaires understand the opposite. Opportunity is infinite. Time and focus are scarce. Every yes is automatically a no to something better. Saying yes to a meeting is saying no to deep work. Saying yes to a small client is saying no to the bandwidth needed to land a whale. Naval Ravikant calls this the courage of conviction. Most people don't say no because they're afraid of missing out. Billionaires say no because they're terrified of dilution. They know that one massive bet executed brilliantly outperforms 100 mediocre ones. When you say no to 100 good things, you create the space for one great thing to consume you. That looks like laziness from the outside, turning down podcasts, meetings, partnerships, quick coffees. It's actually surgical focus. Richard Branson does not check his own email. He does not book his own flights. He does not, by his own admission, know how to use a computer keyboard properly. Critics have mocked him for decades as a coddled trust fund poster boy. Meanwhile, the Virgin Group is worth over $25 billion. The psychological insight here is brutal. Most people refuse to delegate because they secretly enjoy looking busy. Doing your own laundry feels productive. It also costs you the only resource you can't buy back. There's a concept called dollar-per-hour thinking, popularized by author Tim Ferriss. Calculate your effective hourly rate. If your time is worth $100 an hour, every task you do that someone else would do for $20 an hour is costing you $80 per hour in opportunity cost. Folding laundry, mowing lawns, answering routine emails, these are not character-building exercises for high performers. They are wealth-destroying activities. The behavioral trap is what psychologists call the labor illusion. People irrationally value tasks they perform themselves more than tasks others perform for them, even when the output is identical. This is why the middle class polishes their own shoes with pride and the wealthy don't. Start tracking the dollar value of every hour. Then ruthlessly outsource anything below that line. Yes, you'll feel guilty at first. That guilt is your old programming dying. Jeff Bezos has gone on record saying 8 hours of sleep is non-negotiable. Bill Gates blames burning out at Microsoft on chronic sleep deprivation and now treats sleep as the foundation of his decision-making. Arianna Huffington built a billion-dollar wellness empire after collapsing from exhaustion in 2007. Meanwhile, your favorite grindset influencer is bragging about 4 hours and selling you per workout. Here's the real-world application. Matthew Walker's research at UC Berkeley shows that sleep deprivation impairs judgment in ways measurable on brain scans. After just one night of 6 hours sleep, the prefrontal cortex shows decreased glucose metabolism, meaning your strategic thinking literally shuts down. You become reactive instead of proactive. You make tactical decisions instead of strategic ones. You hustle harder because you can no longer think your way out of problems. A billionaire making a single great decision earns more than a sleep-deprived employee makes in a lifetime. So they protect their cognitive ceiling like it's the Federal Reserve. They sleep 9 hours when needed. They nap. They block calendars. To employees grinding away at 6 a.m., the boss who strolls in at 10 looks lazy. He's not. He's protecting the only asset that actually generates wealth, the quality of his judgment. Treats sleep like a competitive advantage because it is. This is the ultimate mindset shift, and the one most people psychologically resist. Charlie Munger built his fortune doing something his grandchildren describe as sitting in a chair. He bought ownership in great businesses and refused to sell them. For decades, while other investors flipped, traded, and panicked, Munger did nothing and compounded into billions. Albert Einstein allegedly called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world. Here's the math that should haunt you. $10,000 invested at age 25 in an index fund, returning 10% becomes roughly $450,000 by age 65. The same amount invested at 35 becomes around $175,000. That decade of doing nothing, letting your capital sit and grow, is worth more than working an extra 10 years at the end of your life. The transformation is this: stop seeing wealth as something you earn and start seeing it as something you accumulate and protect. Active income makes you a worker. Owned assets make you wealthy. Every dollar you spend on a depreciating thing is a soldier you fired before the battle even started. Every dollar invested is a soldier deployed forever, recruiting more soldiers while you sleep. Billionaires aren't grinding harder. They're letting time do the heavy lifting while they read, think, and sleep. That isn't laziness. That's leverage. CTA 30 seconds. If this rewired even one assumption you had about success, do me a favor, hit subscribe. This channel exists to dismantle the toxic productivity lies that keep you stuck on someone else's payroll. Every week, we break down the actual psychology of wealth, power, and stoic discipline that the top 1% live by. Subscribe now so you don't miss the next breakdown, because the next video could be the one that finally flips the switch in your head. Outro, 30-45 seconds. Look, the world has trained you to confuse motion with progress, to wear exhaustion like a badge, to feel guilty the moment you stop moving. But the wealthiest, freest, most powerful people on this planet figured out a long time ago that the game isn't about working harder than everyone else. It's about thinking more clearly, choosing more carefully, and letting time compound your decisions. Today, I want you to do one lazy-looking thing. Sit down, phone away. Just think for 30 minutes about the highest leverage move you could make this month. That single half hour of nothing might be worth more than the next year of your hustle. Stop running. Start thinking. The empire is built in the silence.